The Arabic word Hijra means to leave, to abandon, to migrate from one place to another. In this video, I will tell you about the migration of the Prophet and his followers from Mecca to Medina in the year 622. Let's talk about Mecca first. Mecca is a holy city where the Kaaba is located. The Kaaba is the house of Allah. Because of the Kaaba, Mecca has hosted pilgrims for thousands of years. People from many countries come to the Kaaba at certain times to do their pilgrimage. Mecca is also a place where the trade caravans frequently stop. The nobles living in Mecca became rich by trading due to the thousands of pilgrims coming into Mecca. They acquired a certain high level of power in the region. When the Prophet invited people to Islam, these Meccan polytheists were discomfited and annoyed. The Prophet invites people to the unity of Allah. He prohibited reaching Allah through the idols. The Meccan polytheists believed that the idols were the daughters of Allah, whereas Allah neither begets nor is born. With the Prophet's preaching of religion, idol worship began to be questioned. Nobles, slaves, ordinary people began to believe in Muhammad ﷺ and to deny idols. A new religion was spoken among the people day by day. With the rapid spread of the new religion, the Meccan polytheists began to lose their economic power and rule. And this wasn't all. The Prophet also talked about the hereafter. He would talk about the provision for the evil done by the polytheists. The polytheists were denying the hereafter and did not believe in resurrection. They continued their evils. But the new religion, Islam, says that everyone is equal. The privileges of the polytheists were gradually being taken away from them. The polytheists made many offers to the Prophet not to spread the new religion. They said that they would do whatever he wanted, such as a higher rank or position, beautiful women, or more money. They made his uncle, Abu Talib, a mediator between themselves and the Prophet. The Prophet said, "O uncle, I swear to Allah that if they put the sun in my right hand and the moon in my left hand, I will not give up on this case. Either Allah will make this religion prevail or I will perish on this path." Abu Talib then went back. After this answer, the polytheists started to put pressure on the Prophet and those who believed in him. As time passed, these pressures turned into violence and oppression. Despite the offers of the polytheists, the Prophet continued to spread and explain Islam. The polytheists were afraid of the Prophet's uncle, Abu Talib, and did not want to start a fight between the tribes. Because of this, they were unable to show violence to the Prophet or get in his way. They were trying to humiliate the Prophet among the people by mocking, slandering, and arguing. They belittled the Prophet, saying, "Why did prophethood not come to the son of a noble and wealthy family?" Once, while the Prophet was praying at the Kaaba, they put a tripe on him to humiliate him, a stomach of an animal. When Abu Bakr, the Prophet's best friend, called these people to account, they assaulted and beat him. Despite ridicule, slander, and all kinds of evil, the polytheists could not prevent the spread of Islam. Islam continued to spread fastly among the free, slave, rich, poor, and the nobles. This new religion, Islam, was spoken everywhere. In order to intimidate people, the polytheists began to use violence against poor, destitute, and weak people. For example, Bilal al-Habashi, Habab, and the Yasir family were the companions who were tortured. Ammar and Sumayya are the first Muslims to be martyred in torture. Although the Prophet was protected by his uncle Abu Talib and he could not be attacked physically, he was very upset for the evil befalling those who believed in him. The Prophet decided that some companions, included Uthman and many others, should migrate to Abyssinia. The Muslim caravan, consisting of 11 men and 4 women, migrated to Abyssinia from Mecca in the year 615, passing through the port of Shuwaiba. Abyssinia was ruled by Negus, who believed in Jesus. When the weak and unprotected Muslims started to migrate to Abyssinia, the polytheists began to feel discomfort. They dispatched a delegation to Negus to extradite the migrated people. The Negus, as a just ruler, listened to both sides. Ja'far, the representative of the Muslims, talked about the unity and oneness of Allah, explaining that men and women are equal. He said that the Quran forbids cruelty. Negus, on the other hand, was impressed by what he was told and asked him the verses in the Quran about Jesus. Ja'far read the Surah Maryam. O Prophet, to mention in the book the story of Maryam when she withdrew from her family to a place in the east, screening herself off from them. Then we sent to her our angel, Gabriel, appearing before her as a man, perfectly formed. She appealed, I truly seek refuge in the most compassionate from you, so leave me alone if you are God-fearing. He responded, I am only a messenger from your Lord, sent to bless you with a pure son. She wondered, how can I have a son when no man has ever touched me, nor am I unchaste? He replied, so will it be. Your Lord says, it is easy for me, and so will we make him a sign for humanity and a mercy from us. It is a matter already decreed. So she convinced him and withdrew with him to a remote place. When the pains of labor drove her to the trunk of a palm tree, she cried, oh, I wish I had died before this and was a thing long forgotten. Thereupon Negus sent the polytheists back. He then takes care of the Muslims who emigrated, saying that there is no difference between you and us, but a fine line. The polytheists returned to Mecca empty-handed. When the polytheists returned empty-handed, they began to increase the oppression. Abu Talib gathered Muslims in a neighborhood and tried to prevent the polytheists. Thus, the boycott period started, which would last for 3 years. The polytheists hung up a piece of paper on the Kaaba. On it, it wrote, now it is forbidden to marry, to trade, to talk to Muslims. In short, a great material and moral isolation was imposed on Muslims. During this period, Muslims faced great difficulties. They were hungry and miserable, but they still did not turn from their faith. At the end of 3 years, it was understood that the boycott did not prevent people from becoming Muslim, and it was abolished. The Prophet decided to go to Taif because of the anger of the polytheists. When the Meccan polytheists learned this, they went there before the Prophet and provoked the local people. When the Prophet reached Taif, the children threw stones at him, and he returned to Mecca, realizing that he could not convey the message to those people. In the 13th year of prophethood, the year 622, during the pilgrimage season, 25 Medinans, including 2 women, decided to invite the Prophet to Medina. They hid their original intentions and set out with the polytheists of Medina who went to Mecca for pilgrimage. Upon reaching Mecca, they visited the Prophet secretly and decided to meet in Aqaba one night after the pilgrimage. The Prophet came to Aqaba that night before everyone else. He was with his uncle, Abbas bin Abdul Muttalib. Abbas made a speech to the people there and said, despite the fact that Muhammad had an honorable place among his tribe, those who believed in him because of their devotion, and those who did not believe in him because they were from the same lineage, considered it a duty to protect him. Muhammad accepted the invitation of the people of Medina and wanted to migrate there. With this agreement, the migration to Medina had begun.